connected to my education and my passion for connecting the world, I can say. So that's what I'm doing at my current organization. I work at Cisco in the mass scale infrastructure group, and we have our motto and mantra, that is, we are building the internet of the future. So that's what Cisco MIG is all about. And I do my and I'm fortunate enough to do my contributions there and do my bit towards developing the internet that would be transforming the future for all our generations to come.
Awesome. So I love the way you talk about that too, because you bring a very powerful perspective in that there are tons of people involved in the work that you do, and you are one of the contributors that is making it happen. I love it.
Yes, actually, yeah. It's not that a single person can do everything. It's about, that's why we say how teamwork is so important. So a single engineer or a single manager, they cannot do anything. A powerful force and a complete team is required to make and build such amazing products that such telecom giants like Cisco offers.
Awesome. Great. Help us understand, take us back to how you got to be an engineer.
Yeah, so that I can say, like, if I would start my journey all together, like when I was a kid, probably I can walk you through that journey. So it's not about something childhood that is very easy to go along with. So my father, he was working in a transferable job, and he was the head of finance at National Hydroelectric Power Corporation in India. So his work involved going at dam sites like hydropower stations. So I 4-year-old like me, I was fascinated by the world of hydropower plant and dam stations and seeing like turbines making electricity out of water. So I can say a close introduction of tech to a 4-year-old as I used to visit the power plants at my where my father used to work. So
that must have been so cool.
Yes, actually. So of course, like, it was just one fascination that I encountered with, like, what is all that, what is this super labs and the control stations, which fascinated me in the beginning. And now when I work at my companies like Cisco and Ciena previously, we still work at the labs. And now it is, of course, you get transported from your childhood dream to a reality right now, where you can work in labs, you see optical fibers all around, and you see data going from one hardware to another and then towards the data centers. So a dream, I can say, of connecting the world, it really became true, I can say. And it's not just the engineering part that I do, that is my development work. I also speak at different conferences regarding, like, passionate about technology and also spreading about that technology with others. So that's why that speaker kind of part hit in me. And I'm a technical speaker at the IoT Slam conferences, and I spoke this time, seventh time in a row that I got selected to present in the conference.
Nice. Congratulations. That's awesome. We need more people like you to talk about what you do and inspire others to come along and do something equally as amazing.
Yeah. Thanks, Maria.
So as a young girl, you have a father and a nice opportunity to be able to see what he does. It was really nice that he could expose you to that, and you started to get some interest. But tell us a little bit about some of the obstacles in your early days that made it hard for you to follow your dreams.
Yes, like I said, that when I talk about hydropower plants, like, I brought the fascination aspect in front of you, but there is a background to it also. It's not about all the things that look fancy. You have to work hard for it to get there. So as I told about, like, my father had a transferable job. He used to go to the dam sites, housed in the nestled in the lap of nature, I can say, because if you want to have a dam, you want to have water or which has a elevation, so that we can get electricity. And now when my father used to work, he got a transfer, I can say, towards India and Nepal border, actually, which is a very remote place. So before even I began my journey towards the school, like, even I could go into my begin my education, we were in a place where my father got transferred, where there were no schools or just a single school which was there just for elementary education. So that was the case, and the education opportunity as a child was very limited for me. And another thing happened, like, uh, if I say I was 5 years old, my brother was actually 8 years elder to me. So since there was lack of schools in that area, so my brother had to go from that remote area in the Indo-Nepal border to the capital of India, that is Delhi. So our family got separated because
Oh.
of the job that my father had, and there was a lot of grief at that separation, because my brother had to go to live alone, and my mother, she had to juggle between living with my father and me at his power plant, and also visit my brother in the city. And in all that hustle and bustle, there was me, and I couldn't barely attend school. So it was like I was just traveling with my mother sometimes to my brother's place in Delhi, and then living with my father, and I had actually no access to education. My just name was written in the school, and I could not attend it. So those things happened, and I can say my mother, then I got homeschooled, because my mother became my first teacher for me, and we just used to find out syllabus from the school and try to do that. And and there's another interesting story to it, because if I tell you that we used to find syllabus, because I couldn't attend the school. Obstacles, if you talk about obstacles were such that I have been an academic achiever since the beginning. So what happened was, like, obstacles for a 5-year-old kid, you can say, the other students, they stopped sharing the syllabus with me, that this girl barely attends school. Why should we tell her the syllabus? Why should we give her the notes? So my father had a difficult time like finding the syllabus, because we were living separate. My school was somewhere else, and then he used to write whatever he could found on postcards. So at the time of the 90s, writing the syllabus of whatever he could find on postcards and posting us. So it had been difficult. No proper schooling I got initially, homeschooled, and my father and mother, they barely managed to find something from the school, and then I could study and give exams.
That is, I love this story because talk about obstacles. There were like obstacles over obstacles over obstacles. And it sounds like as a family unit, you are all working together, not only to overcome the obstacles of the families, but even inside the families, each one of you kind of had an interesting perspective and challenge within itself. And that is sweet. Your dad is the best dad to be writing a syllabus and sending that on a postcard. That is so perfect that you have the mug
Yeah,
for him. I love it.
yeah, yeah.
So that was at a very
Thank
young age. So your mother's homeschooling you, you're getting the syllabus via postcards from your dad. Take us through a little bit of that then. How did you do so well?
Yeah, so that's another perspective to it. If I would tell you, I told you about postcards, and the other students, since I was stopping the class without even attending the school, my attendance was not there at all, so they stopped sharing the syllabus. So this also happened. So now we were standing there with no syllabus, like no notes, nothing, like what is happening in the class. We just had
Yeah.
school books. So my mother was very worried about it, that how are we going to find out that what is being taught, what is coming in the exam? We don't know. And I would be about barely 6 years of 7 years of age at that time. I saw that dismal face of my mother without the syllabus. Actually, we didn't know what was coming in the exam, and I told her that mom, don't worry. It's actually, what can they ask? If we don't have the syllabus, we don't have the questions which have been taught in the class, we still do have this book. I can study each and everything. I can form my questions myself, like what, when, where, what is all happening. And then that trait developed in me since the beginning, because I had lack to access of resources, that I started reading and started education on a very minute level, like understanding all and each and every detail, and that gave the inquisitive bug to me, that I should know each and everything, how things are happening. It's not just, okay, these are the things that will come in the exam, you should only know that. This is not the case. You should know the
Oh,
whole perspective, the whole picture, and that gave a solid foundation to me. So he faced the obstacle, and that's how, as a family, we faced it. And that's how I, as a kid, I got that thing into me, that I'll prepare each and everything. I should know each everything to ace the exams. and then I topped again. And even though this time we didn't have the syllabus, I continued my streak, I can say, of being an academic achiever.
Oh my gosh, that is unstoppable. So you're a young girl and you basically have the emotional intelligence to help your mother because she's feeling bad. She's trying to do what a mother's, wants to do, is provide the best for her daughter. And she's kind of thinking, well, I don't have a syllabus, how is this going to happen? But you have this inner strength to help her say, oh, don't worry, we're just going to learn everything. That's remarkable. That's really remarkable. So how did you get some of the resources to educate yourself? Obviously, you are very driven to educate, but how did you get those resources? Like the books
Yeah,
and
so
all
the
of those
resources,
things.
yeah, yeah, of course, the textbooks we had, there was no, you cannot say that we used to study from the internet at that time. It's prevalent now,
Right.
but not back then. So the textbooks, resources, that was the only resource we had, a bare idea of like which chapters would be coming, and then preparing and educating everything which is there in the textbook, forming and connecting the stories, everything. It's not that you would have something that the teacher had given importance to these things, and these things would come in the exam, because at an early age, I think it's a set of questions at the end of the chapter that these would be asked in the exam, and we have to prepare that. But none such in my scenario. It was like knowing each and everything, even like if I would be understanding literature, then knowing the meaning of each and every word in my stories, in the stories that I used to read. So that also happened, that I developed vocabulary out of it. So it's not at what I aimed at, but in that process of meticulously doing things, all these things of doing creative writing, I can say, or other aspects to my personality developed, because when you do things yourself, you learn better, I can say.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's interesting how you basically literally turned the obstacle that was right in front of you into an unstoppable personality, like you called it. It's like you just decided, like, okay, I see the challenge ahead of me and I'm just going to learn everything so that I'm prepared in any way possible. So then your education obviously unfolded nicely. Take us through the steps. What happened next?
Yeah, so this was about the very initial years of my age, like in the 1990s. I tell you that around 8 or 9 years old, then as my father had a transferable job, so every 5 6 years we used to get a new transfer to another city. So change of schools, change of environment, everything used to happen. So after the next transfer, like as I told you, we were living in a very remote area at the India and Nepal border. After that, we then got transfer back to the city in Delhi, and then I started my formal education. I can say when I was 10 years, around 10 years old, 9 or 10 years old. That's when I began my regular education, like going to school every day. and
with
and as I joined,
students.
yeah, and after that, when I joined my school, it was unexpected for a person coming from a remote background where there was not so many good schools to come to this school in the city and top there again. So I broke the record of the previous percentages, like I can say percentile or percentage that the previous toppers were having. And I joined in the midterm also, like when half of the term was already over. I joined in the middle, and then with all the foundation that I had, I taught my school again. And then with class after class, I secured the first rank, and that had my academic journey going on.
That is phenomenal. So they think this girl coming from this remote place, is nothing to even think about. And here you
Yeah.
surpass everyone. Was it not only your friends and the other students, but the teachers must have been completely impressed?
Yes, absolutely. Like if you would say about teachers, so like it's been so many years that I'm out of school now, but we are connected on social media, like on teachers. But whenever I do something, I am so thankful and so fortunate that my teachers do give their wishes and do give their blessings to me even now. when even so many school students would have passed out of the school, they do remember me. And
Oh, that is
it's like,
nice.
yeah. So it's like, yes, if you leave your footprints behind, the people there do remember you. So I'm
You
very
are
fortunate that to get that
yeah,
love
you're
from my teachers
absolutely
even
in
now.
right. Cool. So then through 10 years old up until like what, high school, what kind of obstacles were you running into there?
Yeah, so obstacles again as a student life, we do face the challenges like only doing studies because you have to concentrate on it, and sometimes we have interest in extracurriculars as well. But there's a juggle between, like, okay, if you would focus on academics, maybe you would you if you would focus on extracurriculars, maybe you would lag behind in academics. Those things can happen. Someone is good in sports, those studies might take a back seat. So I also developed a love for stage in the very beginning when I was sent on stage for the first time by my school teacher in class, in very beginning in primary school. So that's when I can say that it laid the foundation for me to become an orator or participate in debates in the inter-school level, then in the zonals level, in the intercity and the state, and then towards the national level. So all that extracurricular activities of being on the stage, which I can say I love so much, of hosting different events or doing numerous things that can happen, that also started with school. So all throughout my journey when I was, and the obstacle, like even from the, you would hear from the family members, not my immediate family but others, like she's doing so much of extracurricular things like representing school everywhere. People would get worried that what if she lacks in school, like lacks in the studies, because her focus is going towards extracurriculars as well. So that was one thing that came to our mind. Okay, like energy should not be diverted to doing all other things because the focus is important. But I think again, I balanced all the things. Thankful to my mother who always motivated me that yes, the things can be managed and you can take all of the things together at a time. And yes, I excelled in academics as well as extracurriculars. I represented my school. I became the head girl of my school. And when I was the outgoing student, I received the Student of the Year award by a leading newspaper, like Times of India newspaper in education. So that was like a complete picture for me because I excelled and became an all-rounder, and that was the award that was conferred on me. And it's like obstacles do come, but it's not that you have to lose your heart to it. With determination and with grit, and I can say perseverance, we can do manage things. Of course, that would take your time because time is limited. I can say it is a balance is required. And as a kid, I think having so many things on my plate, I was able to do all that much. I am fortunate with the support that I got from my mother and teachers, and maybe the resilience and the grit inside me that I was able to do so. So I can say, yes, obstacles are there, but unstoppable streak is when you are so much passionate about things that you can't let them go out of your hand.
Yeah, so that's interesting because and I love how you talked about that passion inside of you, because there's a difference between when people run into an obstacle, like people, don't give you the syllabus, or there's families that are saying, oh, she's devoting too much time to her extracurriculars versus the academics. It sounds like you take this information and you let your heart's passion drive you, and those comments don't become obstacles. They actually inform you of how to be a better version of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty cool. So then as you transition from high school into college, what was that like for you?
Yeah, so that transition was also loaded with different options, or I can say, like engineer close to technology would always has been always there with me since the beginning. But when I was past like completed my school education, I gave different entrance exams, like to go into engineering, to go towards the medical field, or to go towards research. And I cracked all my entrances. And after due deliberation, that what I want to form my career in, I chose technology and I chose bachelor's in technology. That is, I started with my engineering in a college in Delhi, and I started in electronics and communication. So I can say all those things as a kid, when you see, okay, these are the, like, just opening your computer from behind and seeing the motherboard, it fascinates you. But when you reach college, you're actually able to work on those circuits. So, like, you can actually get your hands dirty, or I can say good, and like, fortunate in my case that you can lay your hands on the circuit and design things, be in the lab. That's the favorite part to be in. And then I completed my, like, 4 years of engineering degree in electronics and communication. And I didn't leave the other things that I used to do, like speaking, or organizing different things. I organized different cultural and technical events in college, became the event manager, event executives. And college, it gives you an ample amount of opportunities, only, of course, you need to take them. So I organized events at the national level for and participated in different events, won them, won the debates. And I got into organizing and managing things also. So my friends used to say, why are you managing or organizing the debates? You should participate in them. You will win there. You will get the prizes. So don't organize. You should participate and win. So I said,
Oh.
no, it's like giving back to the community. I can groom the people who are coming in and participating in those debates. So it's like, of participating and managing things started from that level only. And another interesting thing has happened that is continued with me till even now. That is the initiative, I can say, women in engineering. Because I can say, and I think you would also agree to it, when I was doing my engineering, there were around 3 girls in one batch and around 7 8 in other batch. So that was a dismal number. Out of 60, you're having less than 10 or less than 5 girls in engineering. So we started, I was one of the founding members of starting a IEEE Women in Engineering group in my college. And you would say, uh, people, whenever you are even starting something out, and since you're so passionate about it, you want to do everything to make that group successful. And what step I took, I wanted that the college magazine, that the IEEE magazine of my college, it should have a section of women in engineering to promote the girls. And it faced a backlash that, no, why do we want to have 2 3 pages devoted to this section? We don't need it. No one considered it important. And I can say, now, like, so many years later, I think about it and I say that that brought a tear in my eye. That why are they not allowing me to have a separate section in the magazine devoted to women in engineering? I managed hard. I talked to my principal and everything who were responsible, and I yet managed to get 3 or 4 pages devoted to that section. And yeah, to advance that, the you I also brought school girls to my college, so that this number, it has to increase. And that is when is the grassroots level, when the girls or even the students are deciding that they have to make a career towards engineering or technology or not. So I reached out to schools in my vicinity, contacted their principals, took permission from my college authorities, and brought a bunch of school girls and showed them the labs in my engineering college. That even if one girl gets fascinated by the world that technology can bring for you, and they take up STEM as a career, I think I would have done something to increase that number and to increase the representation of women in our technical field. So I started that when I was back in college, and I'm still associated with women in engineering. And that number continues even when we work in our corporate field right now. The numbers are limited, so I still take many initiatives when I'm in the corporate career. But yes, so as we talked about my college, it had been great. I made great friends out of it, which we are connected even now. And I give, and yeah, one thing happened. I recently got a distinguished alumnus award from from the college that I got graduated in. So it was
Oh.
like 10 years later, it came up for me. So very happy, and to connect
Oh.
with my teachers back again and get felicitated.
Yeah, that is awesome. And congratulations, because
Yeah, thank you.
sometimes the rewards from overcoming those obstacles and being the inspiration, like you have it in you and you want to do that, but you don't necessarily see that reward until maybe sometimes never, and sometimes,
Yeah.
10 years later. So good for you.
Yes.
So it was interesting when you talked about you were able to, see some technology and that inspired you and helped to help you decide whether to go into a medical field versus an engineering career. Was there support from, you said, like from principals, or what, were there any challenges as you were entering before you knew that there was going to be only a few women engineers in class?
Yeah. So we do know about that women numbers are limited. So support in terms of teachers, like every student is considered equal, I can say that is there, but it is about the how you become a minority. So that does happen, that and that you are not you people, and that happens in corporate as well, because if you're the only girl in your class and the others would form a group, and then you have to make your place in the group, they would gel better with each other, because I can say it's like it's a clan, they can say they understand each other better. So we have to make our place in that manner, even in the colleges, or I can say corporate. Efforts need to be taken from our side so that we can gel in. And yes, support from our male allies, as you can say, as you started with the beginning only, we need support from the men as well. So similarly, in college with the teachers support, or and along with the support, the determination in yourself, the passion in yourself, that's very important. No one can support you till the time you don't want to be there, till the time you don't want to achieve that thing. So it's an amalgamation of all the things, I can say. And regarding the technology field that you said, that I had a choice whether to go towards the medical line or towards the technology line, as the initial childhood that I talked about, when my brother and I, our families were separated. So the connectivity options were so limited in the 90s, you can say, that my family, my father and my mother, they had to walk around 5 kilometers to find a PCO booth just to make a connection, a call to my brother. And we used to tell him that you go to your nearest PCO, we would call at this specific time, and then we would announce his name that we want to talk to this person. Then the booth operator would say, okay, there's a call for this person. They would, and just you could talk about 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and they were, the charges were so high. So it's like connectivity options were so limited at that time, and that had been with me since all the time growing up, that we faced those obstacles. So why not do something as an engineer in the field of technology towards things which can connect the world. And I'm so glad that I chose electronics and communication in my engineering. And after that, I did even my master's in networking, in networks and network systems. And then in my current organization and in my previous organization too, working on optical fibers is what is enabling terabits of speed possible today. So about going to a PCO booth, going about 5 kilometers far at that time, reaching this time, when I'm myself working on that hardware, which is making TBs or petabits of data possible today, it's a complete journey, I can say, I have taken
So
towards making a mark in technology.
literally that is a massive journey, so everything makes sense, right? It is, you literally turned a huge obstacle, walking 5 kilometers just to make a 2-minute phone call, expensive phone call, to talk to family members, and kind of thinking, wait a minute, things in life can and should be different. It should be easier. And now you are working for a huge company doing powerful work in IoT. That's got to be a thrill. Tell us about the work you're doing now.
Yeah, so the work is completely related. Like as I began in the mass scale infrastructure group, building internet of the future. So we work on different devices like like now this would go into very technical if I start speaking about it. But I can say that hardware and the chipset sites are there. each hardware, each FPGA or the integrated circuits have their own capability, and we have to write code, do the device drivers thing to bring up that hardware. And it's like, you can say, if I talk about a hardware, everything has chipsets on it. Even a mobile phone, if you say, it has chipsets inside. So as electronics and communication engineer, as an embedded engineer, everything, all those chipsets have to be programmed. We have to do bring up of those devices. And in my scenario, I'm working on the L0 and L1 technologies, that is optical transport networks, and also towards the photonic side, where if the data is flowing over the optical fibers, it would have some dispersion, and then it has to be compensated by different hardware modules. So the work is around, you have to understand the different hardware architectures, understand the different registers, and then do your coding and programming, understand the requirements of the customers also. Like if you would say Amazon, Microsoft, they are our customers, or AT&T are our customers. So it's not like you just think of something and you design it. If I talk about the professional world, you should know the needs of your customers. The requirements come from them. That this is the thing that they need. This is the data speed. And explosion of bandwidth is occurring right now with so many technologies coming up in the last few years. If I talk about like IoT or augmented reality or virtual reality, and of course, like we are talking right now. So even videos, everything consumes bandwidth. Even our talk, Maria, it couldn't have been possible if I talk about submarine networks. I can say like data is not flowing just terrestrial, it is going under the ocean too, like going over the optical fibers which are there deep on the ocean bed. So that's my work around making our call possible, I can say.
Right.
So
So
it's
thank
like
you for
power
bringing.
of the internet.
It is so powerful. So even in your life, you had this obstacle of walking the 5 kilometers to just to connect with family members. But from my perspective too, my life in engineering and greater has been, I'll say, longer, because
Yeah.
over 30 years ago, I also was the only woman sometimes in class. I didn't even have other girls in my class. I was the only one. Even in my
Yes.
career, a lot of times the only one. And I really wanted, like you, to have this world where you can be an engineer and be technical and talk about those things, but at the same time, on an extracurricular level, connect with other women and inspire other
Yeah.
women. So it is magical that you and I can be on this call, like you said, together. It is just
Yeah.
mind blowing. So help us understand then, what does the future look like when more women can inspire other women and get into these technical fields and have a great life?
Yeah. So as as you have also faced in your career, like being the only women in the group, similarly, it's true right now. If I had worked on the hardware on the embedded side, when I began my career, I was the only girl member in that group. So those things have happened and they happen still now. And I think they would keep happening in the future also. So that's why I talked about building that pipeline where I was working as as in engineering college to bring girls of school into engineering. Similarly, when girls reach the technical field also, we do see dropouts because not every time there is a support or where women can continue in their fields. So it's like, what I would like to say is, you have to keep your passion alive, and with even the obstacles that you face, we are living in this century right now. If I would consider myself to my mother, she was also academically very brilliant. Even my father was, and I can say I attribute those traits to my mother and father. So they faced obstacles, and the obstacles that they faced were far greater than what I face or what our generation is facing today. So if I talk about my mother, or she had to leave her job because of my father's transferable jobs, and when I was bored because there was no one to look after, and she could not continue her job because my father had a posting in a remote area. So being an academically brilliant person that she was, and coming to her age now, she still feels that I could have done much more. I could have given back to the community if I would have continued my career. So, to all the women who are listening, I can say, even if in our age, if you tend to see some obstacles and you take the decision that, okay, we are not able to pursue right now, it has to be left, the careers have to be left, or it cannot be continued. Seeing from experience, like 20 years later, there would be a regret because you would be leaving what you are capable of. And our our previous generations, they worked so hard for us. They wanted to give us a choice that, okay, you make your choice and your decisions to ace the world or to do what you're capable of and to follow your dreams. They didn't give us a choice to leave or to quit. So if you have been given so many options, I can just say, don't take the option to quit or to leave. If you have reached somewhere, it is about, if I talk about myself, it's not just I just landed here. You have to follow, you have to make your own path, and it takes up time. So all you have to, for your past self that has worked so much towards the hard work that they have done, and your future self, you have to do for both, and you don't have to quit or to leave. So for all the women engineers that are there, that is the option that I won't suggest. If some leaving had to be done, a break can be there. Sure, a break can be there if we face some obstacles, but just don't leave it altogether. And and in terms of the organizations that we are having right now, we do get a lot of support, like bringing women back into the workplace after a gap. Such initiatives are coming up. And if I talk about the conferences that I speak in, like I spoke about participating in IoT Slam conference, even if you will see the speaker panel there, about if there are all so many, like, stellar speaker lineup, I can say, CXOs level, you would see very few women, like less than five, I can say. So even the representation of women on speaking platforms is also very limited. So that's why I also started in one of the initiatives, like contributing towards it. We are working on it. Is the She Speaks Bureau, where we want to elevate female speakers. That, okay, give them a platform. If they do not hesitant to talk about themselves, give them a platform which is like sounds familiar. And once you get the grooming and you get comfortable, you can go and shine on the public and on the global platform. So you have to join groups and find like-minded people who are supportive, like the work that I'm doing towards She Speaks Bureau, elevating female speakers. Then I'm also participating and as a speaker in other conferences that are coming up. Like in June, I'm speaking in the Women Tech Conference, where I will be talking about how network modernization needs to be done. And along with that, I'm also speaking in another conference, that is IEEE Women in Leadership Conference. So that's happening in the US. So I might be traveling there and giving my talk. So along with the thanks, Maria. So along with all those things, that things, and if I'm talking about these things, I can say all these things don't come up easy. It's not like that the conference, they you can just go and you will be able to speak. You have to find some ideas, you have to apply, and all those things, it go towards a rigorous submission procedure. And then you get that slot, you get that chance. But everything has a beginning. I also began. And to all the people who think that, okay, she has been able to do these things along with her professional career, like of towards development and making their speaker contribution, it is because I had that passion in me since childhood of being an orator. And and one thing else, like when college ended for me, I thought that all the speaking is over. Now you have to sit in front of the computer, do code, make your hardware bring up or everything. Like, why there are no competitions or anything happening where I would get a chance to speak? But things unfolded, and then there are communities, there are conferences where you can speak about the work that you are doing. You can talk to operators and tell them that, okay boss, this network is not going to work right now. The technology field is so much evolving that you have to reimagine your networks. so that on the lower capex and the lower opex side, if the bandwidth explosion is there and you keep on using your older hardware, it is not going to work. The cost per bit has to be reduced, and that's why new technologies come up, like Cisco currently is working on their routed optical networking. So that's what makes the internet possible, and that's what we speak about, and to make everyone knowledgeable about these things. So speaking up in conferences get gets you connected to people where you can interact and learn and engage with each other. So all those learnings happen if we take a step from our side. So women in tech is not just limited to doing sitting in your house doing coding and all those things. It's about interacting as well. When you know something, you have to give back to the community. That's what I believe about. If I learn something from someone, I have to give back to my generations that are coming. Like, I have to educate the school children. So I have to educate, or so that's why I'm associated with my alma mater also, with my undergraduate and my graduation colleges, where I'm a mentor of the students who are studying right now, supporting them in different projects or taking mock interviews. All those things need to be done, and that's your level of support or your level of things which you can give back to the community.
I love the conversation, and thank you so much for bringing that up, because we do lose a lot of women that really should be and can be contributors to the profession, but it's never too late. Never too late.
Yeah,
And even if you're not in technology and having opportunities to speak, you can participate and you can
of
come
course.
back into the world of technology at any age. Even if you're not familiar with, like you said, there's always a beginning. So even if you have to re-enter and start at a new beginning, just being there and showing support is huge. And it's very important, like you said, like your mother sacrificed a career, but what she in turn gave was this amazing woman who was able to overcome unstoppable things, just to do and be an inspiration for others. So it really is, everyone's connected. It's not only the internet, but I think as humans and as women,
Yeah.
we do have a strong connection, and we all need to support each other for sure. Awesome.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
anything else you can share about life, overcoming obstacles, inspiring women? What else would you like to share with us?
Yeah, so one thing that I can share about is, like, you also have your lows. Sometimes, like, when everything is happening, like if I talk about myself, I have been participating in academics, like, sorry, extracurriculars, being academically nice, topping my class, and you enter the professional world. You do hear some voices, as you said, that as I talked about you, like some families which are saying that she is participating in so many extracurriculars, she's participating in so many inter-school competitions, but my reply to them was like, I topped my class. So it's not just that I sacrificed my education, my academics, if I was doing something on the extracurricular front. So that came to me to balance that field, that I balance things in my childhood or when I was growing up. Same things, these things come up even in the professional world. If we are talking right now, if I am participating in different conferences, if I am hosting the events in my office, like hosting the entire leadership, hosting different programs, my work is engineering, my work is doing bringing up the products. This is not what is assigned to me, it's out of my key responsibility area, I can say. But this is the passion that I follow. This is like what fuels me, fuels what are my dreams. But sometimes you do hear some voices that can say she is investing time in these things, so maybe she might not be able to invest time in other things. So if you let these voices hit you, you can fall. So so I can just say that if you have to be unstoppable, you you have to such voices that are coming up to you, where you hear those things, you have to be a deaf ear. You have to give a deaf ear to them, that okay, I will not let those things or those comments go inside me and change who I am. Because this is one thing that I learned from experience, I can say. If you see some voices that are telling you negative, if out of 100 people there are 10 voices which are telling you, who are telling you negative, I can say a majority number would be getting inspired, would be seeing you as an inspiration, that if she is able to do these things, even we can. So you don't have to give heed to the negative things. Do that for the people who are looking up to you. Just don't leave because of the negative thoughts or the negative environment, I can say. So that is one thing
Yes.
that I also faced, and I was able to conquer it by just having a belief in myself. I talked to my mother again, and she told me that you have been balancing all those things since a kid, since your school, since your college. So why can't it be done with in the professional world? Yes, you can have your development of the wonderful products that I do at my work. Plus, you can give back to the community. You can participate in events. You can be a public speaker. You can be a technical author. I love writing about things. My articles have got published in newsletters in Enterprise Viewpoint magazine and the IEEE. So all these extra things, extra efforts, which have remained with me since growing up, I was able to continue on these things because you just don't have to leave. You have to be unstoppable, as we all talked about, and believe in yourself.
Yes, thank you. Because a lot of people, there's a couple of things you run into, right? There's these external obstacles, like the people who want to criticize you and make you think that what you're doing is wrong or somehow not the right thing to do. And
Yeah.
then there's that inner critic. And I love how you put that, is like it can punch you in the face if you let it. But the thing is that those things are also going to happen. We can't ignore the fact that obstacles are going to be
Yes.
there on a regular basis. But
Yes.
what we
They
can
are.
do, they are absolutely. We would be silly if we think that it's not going to happen, right? Not in the real
Yeah, it's not
world.
an easy world.
Yeah, but to make sure that you understand what drives you and what you're passionate about, and always come back to that place. External obstacle, internal obstacle, whatever's going on, is just to remind yourself every day, this is what I'm passionate about. This is how I want to inspire people. And this is the benefit that I bring to the world, right? Yeah.
Yes, Maria, absolutely.
Awesome. Richa, it has been such a wonderful time with you. I appreciate all of your stories. They really are really, truly unstoppable. It's what I'm passionate about, helping women deliver on their unstoppable in the world. Is there any closing comments that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, I can just say that whenever you face some self doubt, or you think of something that, can I do it, or should I even attempt it? Will that happen? Will my efforts bear fruit? All those things that go in our head all the time, that you talked about, internal obstacles. The only question that I ask myself when I face these things: do you want to be ordinary?
Ah,
That do Richa want to be an ordinary person? That gives me an answer. Do you want to be an ordinary? No, I want to try. I want to do my bit. So just anytime I can say, you can ask that question to yourself: what do you want to be? Do you want to be exemplary or ordinary? So that would give you an answer, and that's your key. That's your motivation factor to be unstoppable. What do you want to be?
that is so cool. Thank you for that powerful, powerful message. I will make sure in the show notes to get the contact information for anyone to get in contact with you if they wish. So those will be in the show notes. And for now, thank you for being a part of the conversation for inspiring women's leadership. Coffee Time with Kauffman is the comfortable place to discuss women's leadership, because I am on a mission to help the world discover the truth about what women are capable of. When you are ready for your leadership mastery makeover, go to mariakauffman.com and click on Consult a Coach, where you can schedule time with me for an empowerment session. Richa, thank you so much once again for your amazing expertise and inspiration for the world. Continue doing the work you do.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. And at the end, what I can say is a true example is in front of us. That's Maria Kauffman. After having such a true career in engineering, she's there in front of us, giving back to the community, giving back to the women community, and empowering them. So that's all what we want. And after, that's what I want to do myself. So thanks, Maria, for inspiring us. I'm amazed by the work that you do in connecting people and making us all connected, where women can interact and learn from each other, and of course with the learn from you too. So thanks a lot for giving me this platform to reach out to people, and I'm thankful to you for giving so much back to the community. You're a true inspiration for all of us.
Thank you so much. That has made my day. Have a great week. Enjoy your adventures and journey responsibly. Bye for now.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. Bye bye.